I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bob, you want to do the prayer?
Sure. All right. Father, again, we thank you for allowing us to come here for more learning for our mission as we try and serve our government and our citizens. Father, be with those that are still en route. Provide them with safety during this heavy storm. But we also thank you for what you've given us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Bob. Lon's on his way, I think. He said he was going to be here, so hopefully he's okay. Tonight is our last meeting for the year, except for our party at the Spaghetti Factory.
Is it really our last
So make sure you mark that down if you haven't done that. I've got, I think, 20 reservations, so I think we should have plenty of
Cocktails at
reservations.
6 and dinner at 6:30. I think you said something like that, isn't it?
I thought 6 and 7, but
Okay.
yeah, something like that. But close.
Just so they know the time.
Yeah. Libations at 6. Our heater's not working right, so we might have to keep it.
Is he okay?
Roger, you about ready for your?
Well, look, yeah, I guess so. I'll have to do it off my phone.
No,
Yeah.
why?
This is, well, no, I can't. Why did it open up to this under e-services? It went into this and I don't know how you can get out of this. I have no idea what this even is.
Okay, that's closed. What else do you want to open up?
Well, I wanted to actually get into Go CAP. That's where I wanted to go, not under e-service.
Okay,
Yes,
so
I can go through the back.
Type in Go CAP right there, or whatever you want to,
Right
wherever
here.
you want to go.
You can do the same thing by just going CAWGCAP.org
Yeah.
and it
So I
pops
used to
right in,
be-
you sign
I
in.
used to be able to open up and all that, and then now all of a sudden I can't do it anymore. Okay, I wanted to actually go-
More practice, you need more practice.
Yeah, my phone I'm an expert at, okay, but it's going back here again.
Well, this is CAP, you know.
Well, I know that, I said in order to get into the one I wanna get into, I go through this.
Why don't you guys, why don't you figure that out? Why?
Well,
That's e-services.
Well,
there.
I'll just do it off the phone.
No, just, seriously, just take it and figure it out, and I'll kill some time by talking about the airplane just for a second here.
Well, okay.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna have Lon talk about it, but he's not here.
He's not
so-
here, so I'm just gonna bring everybody up to date,
Okay.
but,
Yeah.
Follow me.
Okay.
anyway, so today, Lon put together a spreadsheet and sent it out to everybody. Cap 437 is burning 0.87 quarts per tack hour, and that's been over the last 20 plus hours of tack time we've had down in Imperial the last 2 weekends. And so, I guess there was, I was not anticipating this from National, but National came back after seeing that information and said they grounded the airplane as of immediately.
That
Did you
airplane's
see-
only good for 3 hours.
What's that?
The airplane's only good for a 3-hour flight, that's the problem you got. When you're
Well, I
burning
mean, you
in
have
12
you have 12 quarts, you have 6 minimum, you've got,
6 minimum is way too low,
Yeah,
even
but-
on a turbo engine.
the long story short of it is, I don't know if it's gonna be possible to hone chrome cylinders. Bob, what's your intake on, what's your take on
Chrome cylinders have, it's a cheap way out to make it work without buying an overhauled cylinder. You're better off if you can do
But
it.
can they hone a chrome cylinder? Because there's a coating on the inside of the cylinder, it's chrome.
Yeah.
Is it possible?
You can take emery to them and rough them up a little bit and see if the rings are gonna seat.
Hmm.
But you still gotta get the thing out of it. You can't do it while the cylinder's on the airplane. I'm not a fan of chrome cylinders. We used to do it with the T-34s, but they never worked out. And so what we just did is that they replate them. And then they hone them out, and that way it gives you a good surface. Because what happens, you gotta keep that oil within that rough surface, and then that's what seats the rings.
All right, well,
So,
don't know if everybody heard that or not.
They're either gonna have to put in overhauled cylinders, which they already done with the chrome thing, but chrome is kind of an old method.
I guess really what it's gonna boil down to is like what you just said. Can they smooth out the cylinder edges some other way?
Do you have any idea where they got the cylinders from? Did they come from
I don't know.
America's Engines?
I don't know, but 3 of the cylinders are chrome. That's what it said in the email.
And if the others are steel, you got a big difference.
So, we were hoping, well, I guess National was hoping, or people were hoping. I don't think anybody that I've talked to here in the squadron that had any degree of mechanical expertise thought that it would work, but here we are 20 hours later and it has not worked. And now we're getting a quote for honing of the cylinders and new rings. I guess we'll wait to see where that comes back. I didn't, like I said, to start off the conversation, I didn't think you could hone chrome cylinders. I guess we'll find out. There are no engines available, okay? So that is a big problem. That's even kind of a bigger problem. If we can't fly the airplane, well, if we can't put new cylinders in it, right? And we're relying on an engine, I don't even know how long the airplane would be down for. Months.
How many hours on the engine? Do you have any idea? The engine has to go at 1,500 hours. I think it's 1,500 or 1,800 hours.
There's somewhere between 500 and 600 hours of tack time before overhaul. So that's where we stand on it. So anyway,
He's gonna play it off his phone when you're done.
Yeah. I'll
yeah,
have
just
to,
to sum it up, since you're back, but to sum it up, airplane's been flown at a high power setting the last 25 hours. It did not accomplish seating the rings. Now you're looking at a potential fix of honing out the cylinders and putting new rings. There's some question marks in my head and maybe your head as to whether or not they can do that with this
I
particular.
have the same concern you do.
Chrome
I've heard
cylinders.
you cannot
And so
phone rings in a chrome cylinder.
I can tell you though that the group commander and I will be working together. We're not gonna let the group be down to one airplane if for whatever reason we're down and out with Cap 437 for a period of a couple months. We're gonna have to have more than one aircraft in the group. We'll figure it out.
They'd be better off right now at $1,200 a cylinder, doing a top overhaul, put 6 cylinders on that thing, with pistons and rings.
We gave them the price for that, they didn't accept it.
Yeah,
I know, I'm just telling you.
yeah.
And so far, it's costing them more of what they've done than doing the top overhaul. And if you look at any mechanic, especially with a turbo engine, and it's cheaper to put in a top overhaul and run another 1,000 hours on the thing, and then pull it off and do a complete overhaul.
But see, we're so close to TBO, if we put cylinders on, it's gonna be 30 grand or 20 grand, whatever it is, to put cylinders on. And we're gonna run it 200 more hours, or Lon says 300, but we're gonna run it 300 hours and then it's TBO. That means we take the engine out and we put a new engine at TBO.
But you see, you're running, this is the question that take up some time here. And that is, you've got 3 cylinders that are chrome and 3 cylinders that are steel.
Correct.
Did you run normal oil in it, or did you run mineral oil in it?
For when?
On a break-in for the cylinders?
You can't run the mineral oil if you already have cylinders that are steel. I already went through that with the mechanic. He says he does not recommend mineral oil on the new cylinders because he's got 3 existing cylinders.
Because we did it.
Well, we got do it, but is it correct?
We didn't go through America's engines, we went through other engines
Yeah.
and other things. If you really want a good answer, call Tim's Aircraft down in Long Beach.
Hmm.
You know, but, you know, they're not gonna listen to him, and he's an overhauler. I can find an answer for you.
Well, I need to what I want is somebody to do a little research and find something in writing that says we're not allowed to hone chrome cylinders. Because chroming is a plating, and if you hone that, you're honing the plating off,
And you only.
right? There's steel underneath, right?
And you probably only got about 4 or 5 thousandths of
You don't have much
chrome
chrome
on
plating.
that thing, and there's not, you can't take a whole lot.
So that's my concern, is it's supposed to be done.
So there's where we're at. We're without the airplane right now. The airplane is grounded. We don't know when it's coming back up. If it's gonna be a long period of time, we will get another airplane. Roger?
All right, thank you.
Wow, interesting.
Just switch the screen over to your screen there. And
Yeah,
just hit, Squadron 5.
yeah. All right, come on, let's get out of this, okay.
You have to hit the Squadron 5 icon there.
Well, I did, that's my phone right
Is it- Okay.
there. Yeah, that's it.
When you play something, I hope it gets bigger.
I hope it does too, because, once I get to the plate, where am I? There we go. That's where I wanted to go. Now, let me see what happens when I do that.
That's much better.
Yes. All right. Okay, this is pretty simple, so it's not gonna be a super heavy duty. Basically what this is just safety, because since it is the holiday season, we're, of course, about ready to go into, well, we've been in the holidays now for several months, so. This is a safety meeting that you can see Lieutenant Colonel Elizabeth Marks had done, and she's the Assistant Safety Officer for Group 2. I'm not sure which state that is. I think that's up there somewhere, 31st Wing. Well, I'm not sure where 31st Wing is. But anyhow, it's a good overview, and it's very quick, very easy. And of course, people do weird things during holidays, and this kind of gives you an idea. She recommends not to do that.
Is that a video?
Yeah, I don't know if that's what that is, if that's from a picture that was actually really truly a picture, or it was drawn. But they recommend not to do that. Now, of course, you can do what you want, but not if you're in the Civil Air Patrol.
Is that in the 39-1?
Yes. Did you know? Okay, emergency rooms, of course, and all this stuff is stuff that we all have known before, and it's all common sense. But emergency rooms, of course, are always full. There's a lot of patients that get put in there because of putting up the Christmas lights and falling, and that's very, very common. I learned that here back when I was even in grade school. I remember people talking about that. There's a lot of car accidents. People tend to drive to parent, they're driving all over the place and trying to get to holiday, Christmas Day stuff, and there's a lot of accidents. The National Safety Council up here, they said 340 people may die on the U.S. highways this Christmas. What is the #1 cause of vehicle accidents? Most of you probably know the answer to this: distracted driving. And just real quick, when I was driving back to New Mexico, we had one of our Aero Club airplanes crashed. He didn't really crash, he was taxiing out on the runway and forgot to check to see that the winds, he saw that the winds were going straight down the runway, so he figured, oh, well, I'll just go out there and take off and I'd be fine. The problem is he forgot that he has to get there. And the winds were gusting like 30 or 40 miles an hour in a Cessna 172, and when he tried to turn to get on the runway, of course the wind just caught the right wing and just took it right on over. We had to drive out there to New Mexico to go try to fix the airplane and change the engine and all that stuff. On the way there was these truck accidents all the way down to New Mexico that were way out in the middle of a field where you could see where they had crashed. A couple of them went right through the middle of some cars, really sad. Some people got killed. We read the next day in the newspaper, there was nothing left of the cars. What they were doing is they were falling asleep. at the wheel. And it was early in the morning when we drove all night, but we took turns driving. So that's another big thing, is people falling asleep. We've lost a good friend of my family who fell asleep at the wheel. So that's one of the things. But distracted driving is definitely a major one, and you see it all the time. Yeah, especially with cell phones out, and I've seen cars driving weird, and you'll look over there, and there they are, doing this number. Don't do that, especially during Christmas time, because it's a lot worse. 8 ways to know you overdid it. Your pets, how many here have pets? If you have pets, watch out. They tend to like to see the things that you got glittering on your Christmas tree, candles, anything like that. They like to do stuff. There is some, if we had time, I would show a little video that they showed on TV where these cats were all jumping into the trees, and the trees were all falling over and things like that. Just remember, your animals like to see your decorations too. Most people, of course, now are getting the fake trees. I say fake, but they're really good. The ones today are just excellent. They're not like what it was back when I was growing up. But if you have a real tree, try not to let the thing dry out. Keep giving it needles, giving it water. If the needles are falling off, then the tree is too dry. Spend too much time untangling, number 3 there. If your lights have been used before, you probably have spaghetti, and you're gonna have a hard time undoing it. Watch out what you're doing, because it's real easy to sit there and break a bulb and not notice it, and then you turn on the lights and you could have a fire situation. Keep anything that can burn, stockings, mantle, decorations, wrapping paper and all that stuff. Try to keep it away from anything that can, especially if you got candles. And a lot of people, believe it or not, I can't believe how many people use candles, even today. There actually is some places that
More
actually
scented
use.
candles. It's a scented candle.
Yeah. And they, of course, you can buy the fake candles, which is just got a battery, and they actually look kind of neat. They just don't have any heat to them. There are some of these ones where there actually is some places I have seen they actually put real live candles on. It's in these, but not in somebody's house. This is usually in a place where they're decorating for a mall or something like that. Number 5, you're proud of your house as a holiday tourism attraction. Well, a lot of these people spend literally they're literally thousands of dollars putting up lights. And I don't know if you've ever watched in the old nowadays most of your meters are digital. But if you ever seen the ones with the wheel turning, and I've actually done that, went outside, this is years ago before I got the digital, but that wheel was turning so fast it looked like it was about ready to fly off when you turn on all those lights on your house. So, it can be a fire hazard. I worked for CAL FIRE many years ago, and my dad was a chief forest ranger for CAL FIRE, and they used to always have fires at a house, usually off the Christmas tree. But try not to overload the electricity. Today, it's much safer than it was when I was growing up. When I was growing up, everything was on. It was hit and miss. But now, you can almost get away with putting about 20 plugs, in one tree, bus, almost. But it still gets hot, believe me. Let's see, replace old strings, of course, worn and broken cords, that's pretty obvious. Keep yourself hydrated, but not your live tree. In other words, keep the tree hydrated too. Continue giving it water all the time. Don't let it dry out. I allowed it to happen a couple of times when we were still doing the live Christmas trees. Put the lights on your outfit or your hair, and of course that's the one with the picture you saw earlier. However, I have seen people actually, I guess they probably use batteries, but actually have lights on their clothes. Be careful with that. For the most part, if you're using batteries, it's probably not enough to do anything, but you know, just use your head. Okay, driving tips. Avoid driving alone or at night. Well, you know, like tonight we're gonna be going home, and of course, as a safety officer, drive home carefully. It's been raining. If you don't know that, then you haven't been paying attention. Make sure that you drive far enough back from the car in front of you. Okay, there's not much you can do with the car behind you, but even with the rain that we had today, there's still some grease on the roads, and somebody can still plow into you. Keep all doors locked, windows closed while in and out of your car. Basically, that's there for anti-theft. A lot of this has to do with you going shopping, which I don't know how many of you finished your shopping yet or not. I know I do a lot of it on Amazon. However, we still do go to stores. So be careful about where you park. Try not to park next to vans, trucks, camper shells, or anything like that that may look like there's somebody that could. What you think? Thank you, Mike. I'm gonna still keep it this way.
It's okay.
And, but that's neat. It only took you, what, 20 minutes?
Yeah, 400 web pages open. It took me a
It's-
while to close them.
Oh, hey, what do you mean? You closed off a bunch of them last week, didn't you? Anyhow, make sure that when you go into the store, anywhere, and not even Christmas, anytime, 12 months out of the year, make sure you have your keys with you when you go back to your car, unless you got a key fob that automatically opens it. There's many, I mean, you can look at pictures of people getting mud. Keep secure, hold on to your purse if you have a purse.
Huh?
Handbags, parcels, do not put them down on top of your car before you get into your car. That's when they get stolen. When approaching leaving the vehicle, be aware of your surroundings, situational awareness. We here at Civil Air Patrol should do that because we should be aware of situational awareness, especially if you're a pilot. Then you have no excuse. Do not approach your car alone if there's suspicious people in the area. Traveling, avoid aggressive and angry driving. Adjust following distance, which I mentioned earlier. Designate a sober driver or arrange for a cab ahead of time if you plan to drink. Okay, that's a biggie, and I wish I could tell how many people totally ignore that. It's amazing. Oh, I can handle it. Yeah, right. Be extra cautious about locking doors when you're ready to leave the house. When leaving a home for an extended period of time, make sure you got relatives or people like that that's watching your house, neighbors. Indoor, outdoor lights should be on an automatic timer. Leave radio, television on. Back in the 50s, that would have been an unwise thing to leave your television on because televisions, as a general rule, used to explode and catch on fire back in the 50s. Today, we don't have to worry about that. We have our television, which is, if you have a flat screen television, you can set the thing up, to even come on, turn off, turn on. Makes it look like you're still in the house. Gifts should not be visible through a window in your house. That kind of, if you put your Christmas tree at the window, that kind of makes things a little harder, but don't display, if you bought your son or yourself a bike, don't let it sit there where everybody can see it. Kind of invites people to come in. Never burn wrapping paper in your fireplace. Never could figure that one out. My dad used to do it all the time when he was a fireman. Place the tree or other holiday displays in a clear passageway. In other words, don't put them in a place where it's a place to get out of the house in case the house catches on fire or something like that happens. A lot of people never, it's funny, these things are all common sense items, but yet you'd be surprised how many people don't even think of this stuff. Absolutely don't even think of it. Never use furniture as a ladder. Bob, never use furniture as a ladder. Back in the old days, in the Aero Club.
You didn't like to stand up.
The ladder's too far.
Yeah,
You put the ladder on top of the furniture so you can get further up.
yeah, that's, inspect your ladder before safety. When decorating outside, use wooden or fiberglass ladders. Metal ladders can conduct electricity. Ladders should extend at least 3 feet past the edge of the roof if you're going up on your roof. How many here know how to make sure the ladder is in the right angle? Really easy.
If he doesn't tip, then you're good.
Yeah. Yeah, you put the ladder down on the ground, put your toes up against it, and go like this. If you can grab the sides of the ladder, that's perfect. If you go like this, then the ladder is the wrong angle. If it goes beyond it, you gotta go like this, then it's the wrong angle. It's right when you stand up for you. The different people have different, you know, you're either taller or shorter. Let's see, if you buy an artificial tree, make sure that it's fire resistant, and most of them are today. But it does matter sometimes who you buy it from. Ours is OG, now I forgot the name of it. It's a really expensive place, but they're really good. Some places you can buy these things in stores, and they may or may not necessarily meet any of the standards of fire resistance. Keep the tree obviously away from fireplaces, vents, and radiators. Don't only burn candles when you can get your eye on them. When you go to bed, leave the room. Extinguish all candles. Ensure the candles are placed on heat-resistant table surfaces and things like that, and also where kids and your cat can't get to it, and dog too. Candles should always be placed far away from items that could catch on fire. That's pretty obvious. Be sure your Christmas tree is mounted on a sturdy base. And believe me, that is a problem. I have known people where the tree has fallen over, and it's fallen over on a kid or something like that. Believe me, all this stuff, there's a reason why all this is here. Somebody, somewhere, has gotten hurt because of that.
Hey, Roger, how much you got left?
Got 1 minute.
Okay, good.
Okay, this is a real fast thing. Yeah, PASS, P-A-S-S, fire extinguishers, know how to use one. Pull, aim, squeeze, swipe. Got it? Okay. Strangers at your door. Gee, you know, again, this is other stuff, you know, a lot of criminals today pose as couriers, and especially at Christmas time, and they like to go in there and act like as if they're really helping you, but they're not. Ask for identification, or find out where, if they're asking for funds, where it goes. If you're not satisfied, don't donate. And in a party, always have a non-alcoholic beverage available for party guests, especially for that designated driver who may be there to take somebody else. People do not think of that. I know, I've seen it over and over again. They just don't. They also don't put out anything but coffee. What if you don't like coffee? Find alternative transportation for the intoxicated guests. And remember, the state law is that you have the party and you're the responsible person, and that person gets in a car drunk and gets in a car accident. Guess what? You will be liable. They will go after the person who's running the party. That was just a stomp on the ground one. Designated drivers, we all know about that. Help prevent foodborne illnesses. This also works for COVID. Wash hands frequently. Wash hands frequently. Keep prepared foods away from raw meat. Cook food thoroughly. Internal food should be 145 degrees Fahrenheit. Refrigerate food within 2 hours. Actually, in some cases, you can keep them out for 5 hours, but that they like to you know, put a little more in it. Leftovers shouldn't go more than 4 days. Okay, if you're going to a party, you know, eat before you go, eat high protein foods. That'll help to keep the alcohol from, you know, absorption of alcohol in your system. It takes time to eliminate the alcohol. Know your safe limits, never drink and drive. And that's it. Any questions?
You have to drink and drive to stay warm.
Well, yeah, that's true. But,
Thanks, Roger.
yeah. My goal was to try to get done by 7:30 and I missed it by 1 minute.
You're fired.
Oh, gosh.
All right, can you put that slide back up for the, All right, so my original plan tonight was I was going to launch basically a campaign tomorrow via email, letting everybody know that Cap 437 was back online, that we had the aircraft back, and to start pilot training. So now we've got a little bit of curveball there, a little bit of fly in the ointment. We've got Cap 437 is now down, as I discussed at the beginning of the program tonight.
If you read this above.
But nonetheless, we're going to carry on with what I was going to talk about tonight. In Squadron 5, I'm going to list the following guys that I have down as pilots. Now, you two guys, are you guys new?
Yes.
Okay. Are you pilots?
Yes.
Okay.
Student.
Student pilot, okay, okay. Have you soloed?
Yes.
You're a pilot. Okay.
There you go, that's what I told him.
But, not for these purposes, but yes, welcome. So we've got Dale Ryan, Ryan Dale, excuse me, Jason Enoch, Roy Knight, Billy McGee, Lon Alford, Tim Peterson, Mike Regner, Mario Rodriguez, Emma Scaletta, Daniel Shimon, Gary Bothman, Travis Carney. Those two guys are not in the squadron. Everybody I listed right there is on a green list, okay? That is to say that I know what your status is, okay? If you want to focus on this right here, this is the list of Group 3 pilots. Now, just because your name isn't in green doesn't mean that I don't think that you're ready to pursue a Form 5 immediately. It means that I don't know what your status is, okay? If it's red on here, it just simply means that I know that you're not current. So, everybody's name that I listed off of there, I want you to start reaching out as soon as there's an airplane available to an instructor pilot, which there are 2 in the group, Shane Telekaratne and Trent Ferris, and get your Form 5 training going as soon as possible. That said, we have to have an airplane to do that. So let's get off this slide and let's go to how to become a Civil Air Patrol pilot, okay? So, you guys, I will get you a copy of this. If you don't have, you probably don't have the email yet. The very first thing you've got to do to become a Civil Air Patrol pilot, okay, is you've got to be a current FAA private pilot or higher certificate, okay? Current is the key to that, current, okay? Just because you have a pilot's license from 30 years ago, I'm not going to put you in the training pipeline. You need to have a current FAA medical or basic medical. You need to complete the Aircrew Professionalism course. That's on Axis, okay? That's in e-services. You need to complete level 1. Complete it. And then you've got to complete aircraft ground handling. Those 5 things are the prerequisites to becoming a Civil Air Patrol pilot. Just because you want to come here and fly is great, but if you're not willing to do the CAP stuff, it's just not going to work out for you, okay? So I went through about 2.5 hours of my time today in the office and looking at stuff to simplify this stuff as easy as I could for you guys. This is what you've got to do. You've got to do it. I can't do it for you, okay? Assuming most guys are current pilots, have medicals, but you got to do the aircrew professionalism course. How long does that take, Mike?
I'm not sure.
20 minutes probably.
Yeah.
Complete level 1. That's going to be a couple of day commitment. And aircraft ground handling is 30 minutes. Once you get to that point, okay, you're now eligible. The eligibility to take a Form 5 is the next thing. You've got to go out and fly the airplane you're going to get checked out in. That's going to take 2 to 4 hours of flight time with an instructor pilot, Civil Air Patrol instructor pilot, and you're going to have to pay for that. In addition, you've got to pass the 70-1 general exam. That's on Access, okay? The power exam, that's on Access. The aircraft questionnaire. I guess I didn't put this down, but you get that on eServices admin / forms of publications. That's the file cabinet there for that, okay?
What is Access?
Access is the learning management module.
Okay.
Okay? That's what it used to be called. Anyway. Just go back here. I want to recap. It's pretty simple. Okay? If you want to get your CAP pilot's rating, it's pretty simple. Have an FAA license, be current.
Have a medical.
Have a medical. Take the CAP Aircrew Professionalism course. Complete level 1, complete aircraft ground handling. Find an instructor, which I've given you these, it's in the email today. Shane Telekaratne and Trent Ferris are the 2 closest guys that are instructors. Ryan Ferris and Jimmy Hoytoys are down there. They're instructors as well, but they're also evaluators.
I'll
So
send you these slides.
if you take
We're going to do that at the end. Okay.
instruction from them, you would not be able to get a check ride from them, so keep that in mind. So go out and fly a couple hours with an instructor pilot, pay for it. Within 60 days of your Form 5, you got to take the general exam, the power exam, and this aircraft questionnaire. That's it. It's not that complicated. We've got 10 or 11 guys here that have been brewing to get a Form 5 for months. And I just want to exhort you guys to get over the finish line on that, okay? The day of the Form 5, you're going to have to provide some evidence of meeting the requirements of the CAP check pilot. You've got to have your FAA pilot medical, your BFR, your CAP membership card, your completed aircraft questionnaire, your proof of passing the 70-1, you can get that off of Access, and then 2 copies of blank Form 70-5A, the pilot evaluation, okay? Now, your Form 5. By the way, I want to make something very clear here that has not been very clear. On eServices, it talks about modules to complete for high-performance aircraft, or G1000. All you have to do is pass a Form 5 in a high-performance aircraft, or pass a Form 5 in a G1000 aircraft, and you get that endorsement. In other words, all that G1000 material, there is nothing to record that on eServices that says you completed that, or the high performance modules, or you completed all that. There's nothing. All you've got to do is pass a Form 5 in a high performance aircraft and a G1000 aircraft, okay, to get those 2 endorsements. So what does that mean? Okay, that means that you can sit down, you can talk to me, you come fly with me, and I can help you learn how to fly G1000. If you get a hold of it enough just to fly with me or talking through the simulator, okay, or if we have a ground school here, and you can grasp it, and you can pass a Form 5, you have the endorsement. There's nothing else you have to do. Since we have a Turbo 206, you have to get a high performance, and because it's a technical aircraft, you got to have G1000. So I'm hoping the very near future we're going to have a ground school here for a day to cover high performance and G1000. We have a simulator back here that go a long way toward helping folks out. Now, everybody has the same list of pilots that are trying to get a Form 5. Why go flying by yourself? Okay, everybody has access to the schedule. You see when, let's just say Jason Enoch is gonna go flying with Trent Ferris, and my name is, let's just say Lon Alford, I wanna go along, sit in the back seat. That's when you learn the most. It's the easiest to learn when you're sitting in the back seat. Learn the systems, learn the G1000, learn the high performance, okay? Fly, if you see the aircraft is scheduled for a training flight, reach out to those people and see if you can sit in the back seat and learn. Every single aircraft category in Civil Air Patrol requires you get an initial Form 5. So that would basically be 3 categories of aircraft, okay? Without endorsements. 172, 182, and 206, right? You want to fly a 172 for Civil Air Patrol, you got to get an initial Form 5 on 172. You want to get a 182, you got to have an initial 182, 206. So that's 3 Form 5s you'd have to get for 3 different aircraft categories. Now, once you get the initial, every year you go back and you can say, I'm just going to take it in the 206. Well, then that qualifies you for every aircraft in the lower division. Okay? So you never have to do that again. Just do it once. We have a Turbo 206 here. That's what you'll be getting checked out in. And you take your initial in the Turbo 206, and let's just say that you go to Mission Base and there's a 182 there. Can you fly it? No, you can't, because you've not had an initial in a 182, even though that is a less capable aircraft, right? You have to have an initial Form 5 in every aircraft. After that, 1 Form 5 a year in the highest category will carry everybody else along.
It follows the FAA rule.
Huh?
Follows the FAA rule.
Is that the FAA rule? Okay. So I just wanted to make that clear. And I also wanted to make clear again on this high performance and G1000 thing, because there's so much online. There's a lot of online tools available for you to train for G1000 in the Learning Management Center, or Axis. Also for high performance there's a lot of these modules. But the bottom line is if you pass a Form 5 in high performance aircraft and a G1000, you're Form 5. Okay? There is no, where is all of your studies for these course materials? There's no checks on that. Okay? So, in other words, study on your own. Do as much as you can to study on your own. If that doesn't work for you, or go up and fly in the back seat, whatever. And we'll of course try to give you as much opportunity as we can to help you with resources here, in as much as I hope that we can have a ground school here very shortly, in the very short term, like in the next 30 days. Now, all of this is, big curveball today is 437 maybe down. So there's that.
But an undetermined time.
For an undetermined time. But anyway. All right, this briefing was made with the fact that 437 was coming online today, and at about an hour before the briefing, that changed. All right, so let's talk about, so that's a Form 5. When you become a Form 5, that means you're a CAP pilot. That means you basically can rent the airplane, okay, on a sea mission. You can go out and fly the airplane on a sea mission, which is a self-funded mission. To get a transport mission pilot rating, you've got to be 18 years or older. You've got to complete General Emergency Services Part 116, okay, which you should complete in Level 1, but that's a requirement. Aircraft ground handling, the IS 100 and 700, okay? Here's the link to go get those courses. It's on a FEMA site. It's not on Civil Air Patrol. And you've got 100 hours of PIC and 50 hours cross country and pass the Form flight, or the Form 5 flight evaluation. So, if you have 100 hours of PIC and 50 hours of cross country, and you're taking a Form 5, why not, before taking the Form 5, get your IS 100 and 700 taken care of? Okay, you have to do these things anyway, probably. Yeah. Then you'll be a transport pilot. Okay, but if you do the Form 5 without that, you're just going to be a CAP pilot. Does that make sense? Can't do anything really. A transport pilot can fly to and from a mission, can fly hybrid.
Carry cargo. ferry people.
Yeah. All right, moving on to mission pilot rating. Have to have most of the same things. Like some of the people are going to skip over transport pilot, go right to mission pilot. These are higher time pilots. You have to have 200 hours of PIC. That's the distinction right there. To become a mission pilot, you have to have 200 hours of PIC. So 18 or older, the general emergency services, that's complete on access. The ground handling, IS 100, 200, and 700. You got to be a VFR pilot, 200 hours PIC, 50 hours cross country. You got to be active transport pilot, active mission scanner. You got to complete part 117, part 2 on emergency services. You got to do the ICUT, and then you got to complete mission pilot, FAM and prep, advanced exercise training, and then pass a Form 91 flight evaluation. Sounds like a lot, right? That is a lot. Okay, that's a lot. You really can't do much in Civil Air Patrol until you're a mission pilot. I'll be honest with you. Okay, you can fly cadets, which I'm going to get to here in a second. If this is sounding like a lot of work, it is a lot of work. Okay? But I'm telling you what you have to do. Okay? I boiled it down to like the brass tacks here. Very simple. Okay? You do these bullet points on this sheet, and you'll become a mission pilot, or you become a transport mission pilot, or you become a Civil Air Patrol pilot. Now, there are some things that you can do, endorsement-wise, if I go up here. See, a cadet orientation pilot is an endorsement, okay? It's not a rating. So, essentially, before you take your Form 5 test as a CAP, for a CAP pilot, you would go and make sure you have this qualification so you can be signed off for this endorsement during your Form 5. You take the non-ROTC orientation pilot endorsement quiz. That doesn't sound very hard, and it's not. Okay, you obviously got to be over 21. You got to be current qualified CAP pilot. Okay, but you can get that during your Form 5 is what I'm saying, and then pass the flight evaluation and receive the endorsement. So, reality of it is, you can receive this endorsement of the Form 5. Okay, just do your non-ROTC endorsement or orientation pilot quiz beforehand. If you want to be ROTC, cadet orientation pilot, you've got to have 300, I should go back and say there is a big requirement there. It's 200 hours of PIC. Sorry, I missed that. There is a 200 hours of PIC requirement for a cadet orientation pilot. For ROTC, the difference is it's a different test before your Form 5. It's the ROTC orientation pilot endorsement or quiz. And it's 300 hours of PIC. Let's go back through this again. I want to make sure everybody's absolutely clear on what it takes to become a CAP pilot. Current FAA pilot, number one, you're not getting into the training program without that. An FAA medical or basic medical. We do accept basic medical. Complete the aircrew professionalism course on Axis. Go to e-services, you go to learning management module, Axis, you look up the course there, it's probably an hour course, I don't know. Complete level 1. When you join Civil Air Patrol, that's like the first thing you're supposed to complete. Do we have members that have not completed level 1?
Just the new members.
Okay.
You have to complete level 1 within 90 days of
Okay, so
of
mostly
membership,
everybody's done that.
or I get a letter.
And then aircraft ground handling, okay? So there's your prerequisites. That gets you in the door. Now you're ready to go through the door of what a Form 5 would be. Well, first thing you got to do is go out and fly. You got to fly the airplane. Get an instructor, fly. Fly in the back seat with somebody else that's flying. Learn the aircraft, learn the systems. Talk to me. Talk to other guys that are pilots. Learn the turbo. Learn the G1000. We have a simulator right here. You've got to go on to Axis and complete the general exam, the 70-1 general exam. okay, which is basically Civil Air Patrol stuff, okay? You've got to go online and complete the 70-1 power exam. That's airplane stuff, all right? You got to complete the aircraft questionnaire for the aircraft that you're getting a check ride in. Then when you're ready to take your Form 5, these are the 5-6 things that you need. You need a medical, BFR, membership card, the questionnaire, proof of passing 70-1, and 2 copies of the Form Form 70-5A for your instructor.
Isn't there a weight and balance normally? I thought Form 5 required you to do a weight and balance also.
Every single flight you ever do in Civil Air Patrol, you do a weight
I
and balance.
understand that, but it's kind of like
Yeah.
it's part of the test.
That-
Form 5 is
The
the
form-
FAA equivalent.
Yeah, I'm not getting
Whatever
into
you do
the
on the
actual.
FAA check ride, you have to do on your Form 5.
Anyway, so, and then remember, for each category of aircraft that you want to fly for Civil Air Patrol, you've got to get initial Form 5. So, 206, 182, 172, 3 individual first-time Form 5s.
Could you explain?
There's
to
a
them-
whole, what's that?
Could you explain to them the abbreviated Form 5 for the other aircraft?
You would not have an abbreviated Form 5 if you've never had a Form 5 in 182 or 172. You have to have an initial, full-blown Form 5 for any new aircraft category. Now, let's say that you got a Form 5 in Zelda, the 206. That was your 206 requirement. But now you want to fly G1000. Well, now you can take an abbreviated Form 5 in a turbo or in another G1000 aircraft to get that G1000 endorsement,
Okay.
where you would only have to demonstrate during that Form 5 that you knew how to work the G1000, not the entire flight, okay, of how all the systems and stuff. As to, you know, if you wanted to get an abbreviated for high performance, you could do that as well. That's how that would work. But again, high performance is an endorsement, G1000 is an endorsement, okay? All you got to, you don't have to go, there is a ton of resources to learn that stuff on e-services and coursework, but there is nowhere to put that, I did that coursework in on e-services. There isn't. All you got to do is pass the Form 5, okay? Now, you want to become a transport mission pilot, okay? Before you take your Form 5, number one, you'd have to be that guy with 100 hours of PIC and 50 hours cross country. Otherwise, you're taking your Form 5, you're just going to get a regular old CAP pilot's rating, right? But if you have that 100 hours of PIC and 50 hours of cross country, then also make sure your CAP 116 General Emergency Services is done, and your IS 100 and 700 is done. Then they'll sign you off after your Form 5 as a transport mission pilot, not just a CAP pilot. You already had to have your aircraft ground handling to become a CAP pilot, and 18 and older and all that, okay? And again, the link to get the IS 100 and 700 is right there. It's not on a CAP website. Follow those courses to get those courses. Mission pilot, this is where we want everybody to be on that list. We want them to be mission pilot. You really can't do much unless you're flying cadets and flying hybrid with Civil Air Patrol. You want to fly counter drug, you want to fly search and rescue, you want to fly Western Air Defense Sector, you want to fly whatever else. I mean, you're going to have to fly mission pilot. You're going to be a mission pilot. That's going to take, well, first of all, 18 and older, we knew that. 116 NES, you already knew that for transport pilot. Ground handling, you needed that for transport pilot. There is one extra IS course for mission pilot. It's the 200 course. Okay, you got to add that in there. You got to have 200 hours of PIC, so you have to have a little bit before you can get there. You can start training at 175, but 200 is what you're going to have before you take your check ride. You're already a transport pilot, let's say. The other thing here is you got to be mission scanner. You don't have to be a mission scanner to be a transport pilot, but you've got to be a mission scanner to be a mission pilot, which means you've got to go through that whole protocol, right? A lot of work. You've got to complete Part 2 of Emergency Services. Does anybody know what Part 1 is? There's General Emergency Services, there's Part 1 of 117 and Part 2 of 117. Part 1 is for ground crews, okay, so we don't care about that. Okay. Part 2 is what we do for air crew. You've got to complete your ICUT, which is your communications. Then you've got to go through all of your FAM and PrEP, advanced and exercise training for mission pilot, which is all in squitters. And then you got to pass your Form 91 flight evaluation, okay? Now, that's going to take you some time, but in the meantime, what you could be doing is flying cadets. So let's just say that you had the 200 hours of PIC that it takes, but you're not a mission pilot yet. You can be this cadet orientation pilot, right? You're gonna have to have 200 hours of fixed wing time. All you gotta do is take this non-ROTC orientation pilot quiz before you take your Form 5 to show them you have that. When they take your Form 5, they'll give you your CAP pilot rating. They'll probably give you your transport pilot rating because you've done the other stuff for that. And you've done this quiz right here, and then they'll sign you off for cadet orientation pilot.
That's good.
If you've got 300 hours, then they'll do the ROTC pilot.
Email.
Okay? I honestly don't know how to make it any simpler. If you can't become a CAP pilot in one of these 4 categories with this piece of paper, it's because you don't want to be. That's all there is to it. And I can't help you with that. But what I can help you with is that's how you do it, okay? And I've been holding off on having this briefing for 10 weeks because we haven't had a damn airplane to tell you go train it. And today was the day I was going to tell you we have that airplane, go train. I was going to unleash the hounds. Everybody on the green list, call Shane, call Trent, let's get going. Here's how you do it. And now we don't have an airplane. So I don't know what to say.
Christmas.
Yeah. You know, September 30th, we were getting this airplane transferred back to us. And literally, it's taken October, November, and 2 weeks into December to find out that the airplane is broken. So that's where we stand with it. At least you guys have the information here that's crystal clear in terms of what it is that you need to do to fly for CAP. Honestly, once you get through this stuff, it's so easy year after year. It is so easy. You take your annual Form 5 in the highest category aircraft, and that's it. You're done. And then every 2 years, once you're a mission pilot, every 2 years you take another flight evaluation that says, yeah, I still remember how to fly as a mission pilot. So it is a lot of work. You know, I used to, when people come into the squadron, I'd be like, hey, you're a pilot? Hey, we need you so bad. You're going to love it here. I can't wait to have you. You know what? It's just not that way. It's a big pain in the ass to become a Civil Air Patrol pilot. There's just no other way to say it. There's a lot of work. It's not going to be easy. But if you're willing to do it and get over the hump, there's going to be a lot of rewards waiting for you at the end. Okay? There's going to be those kids that you flew for the first time, that when they landed and they told their mom, it was like, you never knew it, but then you get a text from commander a day later. The kid had the best time of his life. He now wants to become a pilot and wants to go to the Air Force Academy. And his parents been trying to talk him into whatever. Like, there's huge payouts.
So you or if he-
But there's a lot of work ahead, you know, to get there. So anyway, everybody has this on email. And if you have any questions with it all, give me a call. And is there anything else for tonight? Yeah, you have a question?
Oh, just real quick.
Yeah.
Does the CAP program flight reviews count as also FAA flight reviews?
Yes. So you can. I just actually had this happen. So you know you can go on the FAA Wings program. When you get a Form 5 check ride, that counts toward the flying part of it. And then if you do, there's a module if you do, like an hour, you'll get your BFR.
I'm already signed up for wings. So for
Yep. So I actually just completed my BFR I'm halfway completed my BFR that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Has everybody signed this card, get well card?
Okay, yeah, for Gary?
And I've got a solution for your oil.
Okay.
I've got a couple of things, I'm just sitting here while you were talking. Every cylinder has a taper to it. So we have a cylinder, and this is exaggerated. And we have the piston here.
Uh-huh.
Do we have to sign in?
We got the ring.
Yes, we do.
It starts off with a space down here, and as it goes up, there's about a
Thank you.
0.04 thousandths taper, if I recall. The ring itself is like this.
Good.
Third time's the charm.
As it goes up to the top, it closes off. If someone ground this improperly, or the taper isn't correct, you have a
What is
space here and it pumps oil.
Huh.
The only way you can check it is to pull a cylinder and then measure the ID here and measure the ID in here. And it should be around 4 thousandths. I think it's 4 to 6 thousandths of the taper. And it all depends upon the ring right there. Now, if the individual, if this is straight down, you have no taper, you're gonna burn oil. Because that's a choke. So the piston is doing this. So at 27, let's just say 2,400 per minute, right, RPM? How many strokes in one complete revolution? There's
40.
4. So we got 6, 9,600 piston movements up and down in a minute. Think about it.
It's a lot.
Yeah, think about it. Actually, it's not that, it's half that. Anyway, but this is something that needs to be measured, and the only way to do it is to pull the cylinder, pull the piston out, and then measure the ID. Because a lot of guys, a lot of things, is they pre-grind this right here so that this choke, when the ring goes up, it chokes up here and this closes off and it keeps it from burning oil at the top. So the oil's down here, comes up, scrapes it back down again. New oil.
Huh. All right, well,
So anyway, it's a theory, and in that stuff that I looked at right there, while you were doing some of this stuff here and Roger was doing
You should
some
have got
stuff.
two.
It talked about surfacing the chrome. I gave you the one article where they plate it, so they hone the cylinder, then they electroplate it, and then they reverse curve, just do little checks in it. If there's too many checks, it collects oil, and it burns it, and therefore it burns oil. Depends upon who did the chroming of it. And it also talked about honing the chrome. Now, I don't know that process, but I never, the previous manager, like chrome cylinders, I did nitrate cylinders. I never had a problem with the aerochrome. But it's something to think about for
you
these.
can cut that. Is it cut? Okay. All right.